the pearls of Eden. It's dark. Daylight savings time has officially started early, right? So yeah, I'm headed to work, but of course I wanted to give you an encouraging word for this Friday. I wanted to talk about the goodness of God. You know, so often we're so comfortable with talking about the wrath of God, and we're so, you know, if you do bad, you get bad, and that's true, right? But what about the good things that you do? And what about the grace of God when He just blesses you just because, right? God is a good God, and yet He delights in the prosperity of His children. But so often people and even believers will demonize the prosperity of God's people when He chooses to bless them in luxurious ways, right? And why is that? You know, why is it that the news, as worldly as they are, let's just talk about it for a moment, they will demonize pastors who have mansions and jets, but they don't have no problem with Beyonce and Lil Wayne living it up, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, why is it they're so concerned all of a sudden about what pastors make, what they spend, what they do, yet you ain't got nothing to say about the world living it up? And so it's just a question, you all, that I always, you know, when I hear people demonizing pastors for prosperity gospel, guys, we're the body of Christ. We all have our different specialties. Some pastors, they specialize in prosperity. Some pastors have a revelation on healing. Some pastors have a revelation on the gifts of the Spirit. Some pastors have a revelation on word of knowledge. I mean, there is so many areas, and we need each other. But I always tell people, you cannot receive what you don't have the capacity to believe for. So for example, if you don't believe in miracles, you think those are a thing of the past, and you condemn people for teaching on miracles, you won't ever have a true miracle. If you don't believe for healing because you think, oh, that was something in Jesus' day, people can't be healed anymore, then because you don't have the capacity to believe for it, you can't receive it. If you don't believe in the goodness and the prosperity of God, that the blessings of the Lord makes one rich and it addeth no sorrow, unlike the world, then you can't have the capacity to receive it. You see, because the riches that the world get, these celebrities, they get all of that fame, it comes with pain, it comes with sorrow, it comes with depression and all kinds of ailments. But the blessings of the Lord make one rich, and it adds no sorrow, none. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want. I want to be attached to the blessing of the Lord. And a lot of people get so upset with other people for believing in the prosperity of God. But they believe for their boss for a raise. They believe for the county and the government for a check. You better lean on the one that has 1,000 cattle on the hill. I love my God. He blesses me beyond measure. I serve the Ephesians 3:20 God. He can do exceedingly, abundantly more than I can ask for. That's the God I serve. I don't know what you're expecting of God, but I expect great and mighty things from God. I serve a God of miracles. I serve a God of healing. I serve a God who can finance and do everything I can even imagine beyond my wildest dreams. What God do you serve? Do you serve a God of lack? Do you serve a God of poverty? I just want to know. Because we have so many believers that are so quick to raise up their sword against other believers for walking in the prosperity of God. Now, God gave us a warning. He said, you know, don't have a love for money because it's the root of all evil. But He also said that wealth and wisdom are a defense. He also said that you can't do nothing without money. How are you going to be a kingdom financer? How is the church going to grow? How are we going to shake up the world without money? Let me tell you something. God is not against the prosperity of His servants. The Bible tells us that He delights and the prosperity of his servants. And you just have to allow the Lord, because he had to do it for me in the beginning of my journey. He had to break the poverty chain sets off of my mind, y'all. God would begin to make these promises to me and would tell me this and that. And I would be like, Lord, I just want to serve you. I just want to know you. And all of that was true. But he says, Marilyn, I'm going to bless you. But you have to have the capacity to receive the blessings that are going to come your way. You don't want to shut down the goodness of God, because he's so good. And so I said, all right, Lord, reboot me, reprogram me, because I never thought I had a poverty mindset. But when it came to receiving from God and what I was believing him for, it was poverty, and I didn't even realize it. So you just have to allow the Lord to renew you in all areas. He's a good God. Guys, in the Bible, you had people like Solomon, Job. Job was the richest man in the nation at that time. You have Solomon, who was a trillionaire, billionaire. David, King David, same thing. And let me just tell you, Jesus didn't come into the world broke. As soon as Jesus came in, guess what? The Father had provided him. The 3 wise men was looking for him to give him gold, myrrh, all of these frankincense. That wasn't cheap. That was super expensive. If you actually research it, the money that added up, he was a trust fund baby out the gate. And his ministry, Judas was the one that carried the bag of money, right? They were getting money from everywhere from the ministry because he had such a large following. And when they casted lots for his clothing, it wasn't no clothing from H&M, y'all. It had to be something that was worthy, that cost some money, that was luxurious. So this notion that Jesus just didn't have anything and he don't want you to have anything. No, the Bible teaches us that he became poor so that we might be rich. But I'm going to say this again. If you don't have the capacity to receive and you're okay with being with what you have and not accepting more from God and not being blessed from God, hey, I'm not going to try to change your mindset. That's good. Lord, give me their blessing, right? Because you got to understand, when we get to heaven, the streets are made of gold. The gates are of pearl. Now, think about it. If the streets are made of gold, we're talking about God, a luxurious, omnipotent, what do you call it? I can't even think of the word. The streets are paved with gold, people. The gates are of pearl. Mansions are in heaven. Okay? And so you just think that you just have to just get by. No, he says, let it be as it is in heaven on earth. So, guys, I hope I'm giving you some things to think about. Money is not everything, but it says money is a tool. And if you want to be a kingdom financer, if you want to help build a kingdom, guess what? It takes money. It takes money to run things in this world. That's why you got a job, right? Because you need money. All right? You got to pay bills, right? Because you need money to do that, right? You can't give them an IOU, right? I don't think so. So, this whole notion that you have to be in lack, that's humility, that's serving God. That is so far from the truth. But you have to have that revelation for yourself. And you just have to, be weary of people that are constantly bashing pastors. If anybody should be thriving and living good, I would want it to be my pastor. Because he's out there serving the people and giving all of himself. Take care of him, Lord. Yes. Let him flourish. Bless him. Prosper him. I ain't got no problem with it. None. Zero. You want a jet? Have at it. You deserve it. Hey, I don't have any. Whatever the Lord want to bless you with, who am I to say, oh, that's too much? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to curse myself, right? Because the blessings of the Lord makes one rich and it addeth no sorrow. And he is, like I said, he's a God that has 1,000 cattle on the hill. Now, you may not agree with me. You may agree with me. Just think about it. Ask the Lord to reveal his will to you. Okay? I know that it's important that we are good stewards with what we have. And God can't trust everybody with money because they would spend it all, right? They would just blow it. They would go shopping and you never see them again. So not everybody everybody can be trusted. But there are some that will do right by the money. He can trust them to do kingdom financing and to help the kingdom grow. And he can trust them. And he wants to bless them too as well. But, you know, a lot of times people look at other people's life and the blessings on their life, but you don't know what they sold, right? You don't know that they're always giving. You don't know how generous they are. You don't know any of that. All you see is they wearing Gucci, but you don't see that they done gave thousands or whatever it is, millions. All you see is the labels. So we just have to be very careful of how we judge others. All right, guys, that is it for today's lesson. I pray that it blesses you, and I pray that it just gives us all something to think about. We all have different areas in our walk where we have to grow, and we have to allow the Lord to stretch our thinking, because the enemy, the only one that wants you broke is the enemy. He wants you broke, busted, and disgusted, but then he wants his little minions walking around here living the good life. No, that's a lie from the pits of hell. God wants to prosper you. Don't let anybody tell you differently. He delights in the prosperity of his servants. All right, guys, I love you. Happy Friday. Today is my son's 18th birthday. I love you. Even if you're watching this, I am so proud of you and the man that you are becoming. We love you so much. And yeah, that's my baby. All right, guys, remember, you are the head, not the tail, above only and never beneath. All right, guys, I love you.